Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to this brand new show, the brand new endeavor here on the Casa D18 Studios Channel. The name of the show here is called Albumversearies. If I'm being 100% fully transparent with you guys, very much inspired by the Professor of Rock, Adam Reeder, here on YouTube. During my long hiatus of producing new content, I kind of became inspired by him. I would tune into and watch pretty much every one of his shows when they would drop on his YouTube channel. And I became mesmerized, engulfed, almost obsessed by the daily drop that he would give us. And it really kind of sent the brain into a creative mode. What could I do music wise that would inspire me to be passionate, that I could give to you guys in a similar vein to what he does without completely biting and stealing his shtick? And after a little bit of thinking, I came up with a concept. Now, I don't know if this ever happens to any of you guys, but when I hear that a song is turning 15, 20, 25, 30, 50 years old, or a movie for that matter, or an album, it really kind of makes me feel old, because a lot of times I remember when that came out. And so I thought to myself, what if I did a show like that? Hence the name Albumverseary. And yes, don't come at me, you English scholars. I spelt it the way I spelt it on purpose. Album like a record album, verse like the verse of a song, a like anniversary. Albumversearies. I thought this was a great concept. If I go back and I listen to an album and I talk about every track on the album and release the video on the anniversary date of the album, that way we can enjoy these songs and these records again 5, 10, 15, 20, in some cases 60 years after the albums came out. And I just thought this was a genius idea. Professor of Rock, I hope that you like the fact that you inspired another YouTuber. I hope that you think that this is a good concept that I'm going. The album we're going to kick this show off with, Wade Hayes' Old Enough to Know Better album, turns 30 years old today, released January 3rd, 1995. And I do vaguely remember this album when it came out. I did own the CD. There were a few really big hit singles for Wade off of this album, which we'll get to in time when we get to those tracks, as we're going to go track by track through his album. And we open up with the bluesy Don't Make Me Come to Tulsa, written by Don Cook. And right out of the gate, I was hit with something that I wasn't expecting. I had only really heard Wade's hits off the album, which we'll get to in time. But the blues riff that opened this track, played expertly by Brent Mason, wasn't like anything I had heard from Hayes prior. Keep in mind, even though I owned this album, I only really listened to the hits. Track 2, ironically, was the second single released from the album, entitled I'm Still Dancing With You. This sweet, sentimental ballad about struggling to move on after a breakup was co-written by Chick Raines and Wade Hayes himself. The track was released as a single March 6th, 1995, and would debut at number 62 on the U.S. Billboard Hot Country Singles and Tracks charts for the week of March 18th, 1995. The track would eventually peak at number 4 on the Billboard U.S. Hot Country Songs charts and number 6 on RPM's Canada Country Tracks chart. Track 3 is the song that introduced me and probably the rest of 90s country music fans to Wade Hayes. His debut single and the title track of the album, Old Enough to Know Better. To put it into modern day lingo, this song, it just goes hard. And I've probably lost whatever cool points I had built up to this point. But seriously, the song just rocks, despite it being a country song. Once again, written by Hayes and Rains, the song describes something that every 20-something can relate to, because we're old enough to know better, but we're too young to care about the results. Shout out to Rob Hajakos for the way he handles the fiddle on this track, as it really adds to the attitude of the lyrics. Old Enough to Know Better would debut at number 64 on the U.S. Billboard Hot Country Singles and Tracks charts for the week of November 19th, 1994, and would peak at number 1 on Billboard's U.S. Hot Country Songs charts, as well as RPM's Canada Country Tracks chart. Sadly, this is Wade's only number 1 single throughout his entire career. Kentucky Bluebird, which was written by Don Cook and Wally Wilson, is track 4 on the album and is the B-side to Wade's 4th single, What I Meant to Say, which we'll get into shortly. It is also the only track to feature a guest appearance on the album, as Patty Loveless provides beautiful background vocals, which really help to complement Wade's lead vocals. Now, track 5 from the album is called Don't Stop, and it was written by Tom Shapiro and Chick Raines, and it was the 3rd single released from the album. Released on July 4th, 1995, it debuted at number 54 on the U.S. Billboard Hot Country Singles and Tracks charts for the week of July 15th, 1995. And it ended up peaking at number 10 on the Billboard U.S. Hot Country Songs charts and number 12 on RPM's Canada Country Tracks chart. Much of the same vein of Old Enough to Know Better, Don't Stop is a rocking party dance track that Larry Flick of Billboard magazine described as a fun, up-tempo romp, and I couldn't agree with him more. It's simply infectious. Here at the halfway point of the album, we kick off the second half with track 6 and What I Meant to Say. The track was the 4th and final single from the album, and it's another romantic ballad in the vein of I'm Still Dancing with You. What I Meant to Say was released on Halloween Day, 1995, October 31st, and it debuted at number 69 on the U.S. Billboard and Hot Country Singles and Tracks charts for the week of October 28th, 1995. Written by Don Cook, Jim McBride, and Sam Hogan, the song details how the narrator realizes that he hurt his lover when he said that he could walk out on her, and he regrets it deeply. In the chorus, he tells her that he really meant to apologize and to tell her that he loves her. The song would end up peaking at number 5 on the Billboard U.S. Country Songs charts and number 15 on RPM's Canada Country Track charts. On track 7, Steady As She Goes, Hayes details a breakup where the woman has just had enough. Quote, "Tonight I came home late again. She didn't ask me where I've been. Her bags were packed and sitting by the door." Clearly, these actions are something that the woman has dealt with for a while. Quote, "She looked at me and said goodbye. I did my best to change her mind, but she don't want to hear it anymore." The song, which was written by Don Cook, along with 90s hitmakers Kix Brooks and Ronnie Dunn, or Brooks and Dunn, has a very similar feel to their hit, She's Not the Cheatin' Kind, which was written by Ronnie Dunn and produced by Don Cook. I almost wonder if it tells her side of the same story, because we hear in Wade's song about how he came home late and she didn't ask where he had been because her bags were already packed, and despite his attempts to change her mind, she didn't want to hear it anymore. And she's not the cheating kind. She goes out in a dress that he bought her, wouldn't care if he walked in and caught her. She found out the hard way about him and drinks to drown his memory away. Both songs also feature a similar tempo. I'll post the links to the two songs in the description, and you tell me what you think. Track 8's Family Reunion was the B-side to Old Enough to Know Better, and written by Chick Raines and Harlan Howard. The song details a man who intends to keep a childhood promise to his mom. And if I'm interpreting the lyrics correctly, it appears as if the narrator's father died and was buried in Denver, Colorado, possibly as the result of fighting in a war. Quote, I tracked him down in Denver where he'd lived all alone. He was just another drifter with a number on his stone. His mission is to bring him home and have him buried next to his wife, the narrator's mom. Quote, I watched your dreams fade through the years, but Mama, this one is coming true. Powerful and sad, yet hopeful at the same time. It reaffirms that if you try hard enough, you can accomplish anything. On track 9, we get a slight role reversal from some of the breakup songs on the album, as in this case, it's the guy who gets done dirty. Someone Had to Teach You, written by Harlan Howard and Bill Hervey, was the B-side for Don't Stop. And it puts the reverse spin on the tale, as we get a picture painted of a woman who comes back to her man or her ex with tears in her eyes. The narrator says, someone had to teach you. I didn't have the heart to hurt you like you've been hurting me. He goes on to put an exclamation point on the song by saying, quote, now maybe you'll be satisfied with me. The final track on the album is It's Gonna Take a Miracle, and it served as the B-side for I'm Still Dancing With You. Written once again by Hayes and Raines, it's your standard song of remorse after a breakup, as Hayes sings, quote, it's gonna take a miracle to bring you back to me. He clearly realizes that he messed up, and he probably won't get another chance to right his wrongs. All in all, I think this album still holds up 30 years later. None of the songs really feel outdated in their lyrical content, and although times and genres change and expand, you still find that rock and blues influence in a number of modern country artists. Aside from the singles, I really feel like Don't Make Me Come to Tulsa, Family Reunion, and Someone Had to Teach You are the standout tracks. It kind of saddens me that the album as a whole only peaked at number 99 on the Billboard Top 200 Albums charts and number 19 on the Billboard Top Country Albums charts. It did hit number 1 on Billboard's Heat Seekers album chart, but nobody really looks at that one. The Players all did a phenomenal job on the music and the arrangements. I give this album an 8 out of 10. What do you guys think of Wade Hayes' Old Enough to Know Better? What do you think of this new endeavor of mine, Albumversearies? Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comment box below. I'm going to be curious to check things out, see what your guys' thoughts and opinions are. Do you guys listen to Wade Hayes? Is he an artist that you're familiar with? After hearing me talk about him, Do you think you'll at least look up some of his big hit songs? Old Enough to Know Better, I'm Still Dancing with You, Don't Stop. Or will you even take a look and a listen at some of the album tracks, the deep cuts that I enjoyed and recommended there? Again, let me know. Let's engage in conversation. Let's have that discussion. I really look forward to interacting with you guys here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, here in the comment box, here on Albumversearies. Until the next Albumversary that we will be celebrating, I want to thank you all for joining me and tuning in, and I will catch you guys next time.